kweshe echokwadi pasi pano taiona moto marongera vanoita wepanyika vanoda kudisi vamwe tioneswe moto dai pasina.
America is preparing to vote in midterm elections on November 8 amid fears that these polls pose a serious threat to democracy, not just here, but internationally. These are the views shared by Carolina Rodriguez, the state director of Mi Familia Vota in Arizona, Phoenix. Mi Familia Vota is a non-partisan organization whose mission is to build Latino political power by expanding the electorate and strengthening local infrastructure. It is concerned over an attempt to defranchise the Spanish Latino voters in Arizona.
I want to be very clear that this experiment in democracy in the United States is under attack. And if this democratic experiment fails in Arizona, the rest of the world needs to be paying attention, because I don't have any guarantees that we can protect democracy elsewhere if we cannot protect it here.
I just wanted to find out from you, how much do you think democracy is at a threat in America?
I think it's never been clear that democracy is under threat in America, specifically here in Arizona. We have some folks that want to be in the highest political office in this state and don't understand that the Arizona people want governors, want representatives who want to make it better for all Arizonans, not just the select few, not just the ones that agree with you. Our organization believes that democracy works best when everybody participates, even when we disagree, and we believe that our leaders should represent that as well.
And is racism an issue in this election?
I think there's a lot of issues in this election, particularly people who are afraid of change and see that demographic changes and ethnic groups participating is a threat. And that unfortunately is leading to some difficult conversations. But I believe the people of Arizona are better than that.
In Arizona, 32% of the population are Latinos. Of this, 55% are registered voters, making them a total of 19% of the total registered voters in Arizona. Rodriguez says government is not doing enough to provide voter education to enable full participation of all Americans in democracy, therefore requiring civil society to stand in the gap. This is what brings in Mi Familia Vota, which in English means my family votes.
I don't believe that our government is doing enough to ensure that all Arizonans are encouraged to participate in elections, and I believe that the elected officials for this upcoming election have an opportunity to change that. There's an opportunity here to encourage participation, to be very clear about key dates and election locations. So there's a lot of opportunity here to increase voter registration and voter participation, and I hope that the people that get elected to office fulfill in those expectations.
Her fears are echoed by Penny Sharon, president of the League of Women Voters, another non-partisan group promoting voting rights and peaceful polls. Sharon says that there are real fears of violence pre- and post-election, especially following the attempts by former President Donald Trump to rubbish the presidential polls results after his supporters stormed Capitol Hill in January 2020.
How far is violence a threat in this election?
It's real. January 6th was a precursor. The January 6th insurrection at the National's Capitol was real and is not something that's going away. And we are concerned. Citizens are concerned. Everybody's concerned. Which is why the League is really pushing hard.
Condemning violence in other countries during elections, but now you are having that realism in your own background. How does that feel?
Totally unacceptable. The violence in our background. We as citizens don't like it, we don't accept it.
And how is the state responding to this through the arms of the state, the police and security force?
That's a mixed bag. We have something called the sheriffs, the constitutional sheriffs, which is a group that believes that they can, in fact, these are sheriffs, these are elected people who believe that they make the final decision about who should be elected, and they can execute on that through violence. And so it's very troublesome. It's a mixed bag.
Regardless of these threats on democracy and poor violence, the Americans said they will vote in the polls driven by economic issues. George Hammond of the Economic and Business Research Center says the economy will play a big role in the poll.
I just want to find out from you, George, how much is voting in Arizona driven by the issues, and what are the issues?
Yes, as with any state in the nation, issues really matter. And in Arizona, there are economic issues that are always important. One is the state's economic growth, making sure that we sustain the dynamic, fast-growing economies that we have. And there are related issues in how we deal with, particularly these days, housing affordability, which has massively declined over the last couple of years, and how to deal with that, how to increase the supply of housing to help contain and improve housing affordability. And as the state is usually one of the fastest growing states in the nation in terms of population gains, we're always very concerned about water and making sure that we have the water that we need to sustain both the business development that we're looking to develop here in Arizona and the population growth that we think we're going to attract.
And finally, politicians are known for rhetoric, especially during election time. How deep do you think that the politicians have been campaigning from the Republican and the Democrat have a
concern about water and making sure that we have the water that we need to sustain both the business development that we're looking to develop here in Arizona and the population growth that we think we're going to attract.
And finally, politicians are known for rhetoric, especially during election time. How deep do you think that the politicians have been campaigning from the Republican and the Democrat have addressed the issues in their policy manifestos?
That's a question for a political scientist, I think. I can help you with questions connected to the economy.
In Zimbabwe, ahead of the watershed 2023 elections, the opposition has cried over political violence and an attempt by ruling ZANU-PF to defranchise urban voters. Attempts by civil society to mobilize citizens around voter registration, electoral laws have been met with threats to shut them down by President Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Blessed Mhlanga for HSTV News in Arizona, Phoenix, United States of America.